It's August and the water temps are pushing into the high 70s, low 80s, and the bass, well, they're locked into those summer spots. And today I'm breaking down the top 4 lures that I have tied on this month. And these aren't guesses, folks. These are the baits that are straight up performing. Number 1, coming in hot, this is going to be the bladed jig. My favorite is the jackhammer and also the downsized version of that, which is the baby jack. Now, the bladed jig doesn't get called the bladed jig very often. It actually gets called a chatterbait thanks to the OG design from Ron Davis, later sold to Z-Man in 2008. Now every brand has their spin of the bladed jig. Z-Man has the jackhammer, Straight King has the Thunder Cricket, Berkeley has the slobber knocker, and there are hundreds, maybe even 1,000 different variations of the bladed jig. Now, if I'm a little tight on cash, I'm gonna break down and get the Evos, which is what you see right here. But these things flat out get clobbered, right? Especially in the grass, the weeds, around the lily pads, that vibration is insane. Now you can actually even bend this blade up to get a different vibration, which really helps when the fish get conditioned to that stock version. Completely up to you. I recommend a 7 to 7.2 medium heavy powered fast action rod. I personally like a shorter rod. I actually fish this on a 6.8. Now, I know it might be a little bit weird, but it simply feels really good in my hands. Now, the reel, I want something pretty fast, 7.5 to 1 or 8.1 to 1 on the gear ratio. The line, I run a 30-pound braid with a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader. I really like Seaguar and Vizex. The trailer tip here, I like to go kind of a fluke style in the summer, but you can throw crawls, you can throw swim baits, even split tail grubs. Now just remember, you want to streamline your trailer, especially if you're throwing in that heavy grass. I just threw this trailer on from Tactical Fishing Co. this morning. Already caught 4 or 5 bass on this morning before I shot this video. So head over to Tactical Fishing Co. This is called the MRE. I like it a lot. Now, where I fish it, I'm going to be ripping this through the grass. Remember, if you get it caught in the grass, don't consider that a dead cast, right? Rip the lure out of the grass, continue that vibration. You can get a lot of reaction bites with that quick acceleration, ripping this bait out of the grass. You can skim it just underneath the surface. You can throw it, let it fall down to the bottom, and do what I call yo-yoing. You basically pull it up, let it fall. Pull it up, let it fall. A lot of times, I've caught a bass this morning doing that exact same retrieve. You can skip this under overhangs. It doesn't skip incredibly well, but if you get enough force, you can get some skip out of it and fish it definitely along those weed lines. This guy, the bladed jig, it's a pretty versatile bait. Now, bonus tip, if you're missing strikes, it's likely because you're hook setting too fast. You got to understand that the human reaction time is 200 milliseconds. And what is happening is that vortex the bass is creating whenever they open their mouth and create that vacuum to suck this lure in. If you are hook setting with a 200 millisecond reaction time, that sometimes is not enough for that bass to suck that jackhammer or whatever bladed jig it is deeper into the mouth for that solid hook set, and you're literally just pulling out of the mouth too fast. Right, so just remember when fishing the bladed jig to have a slightly delayed hook set, and you will lose less bass on this bad boy. Also, really important with the bladed jig, many anglers will lose bass on the fight because of any slack line, especially in the bladed jig. They get this and they use the leverage of the weight of the lure, and if you give them any slack line, a lot of times they will throw that lure. So keep attention 100% of the way, all the way to your net or wherever you're landing your fish. Lure number 2, got that hooked up as well this morning. This guy right here. This is going to be the YAMATANUKI. It's been one of the sleeper baits all year in the YAMATANUKI. It's heavy, it's weird looking. Look at that, looks like a bowling pin, and it slays. Right now, the YAMATANUKI comes in 3 different sizes. It comes in a 2.5 inch, which is like a 1/4 ounce. Comes in a 3.5 inch, which is 5/8 of an ounce. And then it comes in a 4.25, which is like 3/4 of an ounce. It's a heavy plastic. I like to rig the 3.5 on a 5/0 Gamakatsu EWG hook, but you can also use a 4/0. I like the 5/0 because that's a lot of plastic to move out of the way. But since they came out with the 4.25 inchers, well, I use those. The reason is because this section up top right here will rip out a lot, and on a 4.25 you just cut it down and then you have a 3.5 afterwards, which it just makes sense to do that, right? Definitely use a 5/0 hook on the 4.25. You can use a spin lock as well, and what I also like to do is I like to throw a ring right around the top right here. This one fell off, but ring right around here, it'll keep it on there and you'll get a few extra bass out of your lure. Saying the 2.5 inch gets a 1/0 hook. The setup for this bad boy, I have this on kind of a multi-technique. This is going to be a got my line mixed up over here. This is going to be a 7.2 medium heavy power fast action rod. The reel is going to be a 7.5-1, and I like throwing the YAMATANUKIs on a 17-pound fluorocarbon line. All right, so I fish it 5 different ways. Skip it under the docks, under hanging limbs, vegetation gaps, skips really well and falls that with a sexy flutter fall. You definitely want to fish this on steep structure, right? It glides right down those ledges and has a nice flutter. Perfect for fish holding tight to contour. You want to drag it off the bank like a frog, right? Snap the rod tip to make it dart kind of erratically, and then pause and let it fall in those holes. I like to fish this around lily pads, run it over the tops and drop it through the holes. It swims great on top and falls even better, and it has this blunt tip. You guys see that right there? When that blunt tip hits the edges, it kind of makes the tail on this thing go crazy, has a lot of great action. I also like to fish this in heavy cover. Pitch this stuff into blowdowns or thick stuff where the jig might hang up. And a tip for you, I don't know if they're still out there, but if you're burning through YAMATANUKIs, because man, they get hit a lot, there is actually a YAMATANUKI kit. It comes with 32 of these. Now, they're hard to find, and so if you scour the internet, please throw the link if you find one in the comments below. All right, lure number 3, this is gonna be the SWIMJIG, right? This thing is usually the reason for my biggest fish in July and August. Now, what makes the SWIMJIG special? It's built to move, think chatterbait, but a lot subtler, right? It glides through cover like a dream, and the lighter weed guard and thinner gauge hook really helps with better hookups. The setup, I'm gonna run this anywhere on a 7.2 to 7.4, medium heavy or heavy power fast action rod. The reel gear ratio I like on this is gonna be a 7:1. The line I'm throwing the SWIMJIG on is gonna be a 17-pound Seaguar Invisex. 15 to 20 pound works. I like that 17 pound. And also, I think once I run out of fluorocarbon on this line, I'll probably just run a braid to fluorocarbon leader, to be honest. Now the trailers on the SWIMJIG, you can do a Kayak style paddle tail. My favorite is this guy right here, which is going to be the Rage Swimmer. And the color on this is KVD Magic. And it's just that, magical. And it's available at most Walmarts. Let me think, I think I got the pack back here. All right, this is what they look like. This is gonna be the KVD Magic color. I also have the Ghost Shad as well. And you can also use any type of like Kayak. They all kind of look the same. So kind of throw those on there, and once you find one that you love, go for it. Now, where I fish this, I'm gonna be fishing this next to docks, vegetation edges, light intermittent lily pads, right? Those big holes in grass. I also like fishing this bad boy in those underwater stump fields, if you got them. Let me repeat myself, underwater stump fields, SWIMJIG. All right, number 4. It is getting hot out here, I'm cooking. All right, this is lure number 4. This guy right here is fishing it this morning. It is the punch rig. Now, if you fish heavy mats, thick vegetation, or gnarly submerged cover, or want to, then the punch rig is something you need in your arsenal. Now, the punch rig is a weedless, heavy-weighted rig built for one job: busting through thick cover where those giants live. Bass don't like to work hard in hot water. They tuck under the mats, they tuck under the pads, they tuck under those overhangs. And the punch rig gets your bait down there in that strike zone fast. Now, here's how I rig mine. You're gonna have anywhere from a 3/4 ounce to maybe 2 ounce weight, depending on what you're punching through. This is a 1 ounce tungsten weight. It's pegged with 2 bobber stops. You're gonna have a straight shank flipping hook, either a 4/0 or a 5/0. And the bait, something compact, right? This is a Straight King Rage Bug, right? Works well. On the line, this is gonna be straight 65-pound braided line, no joke. And you can throw this anywhere on a 7.4 to a 7.6 heavy or extra heavy with a fast action rod. You're going a lot of speed on your reel to get those bass up and out of those, whatever it is that you're fishing in, really fast. So I don't fish anything less than a 7.5 to 1. And how I fish this is typically, I target matted hydrilla, right? Water hyacinth, which are those free floating. So once you get down below them, a lot of times the bass are hanging out down there. You can fish this in coontail, fish this in laydowns. Simply just flip it out there, let it fall through, and wait. A lot of times those bites come, you know, that thing hits the bottom, these bass are like, looking at it and just waiting for you to jig a little bit, and boom, they'll nail it. Also, if nothing hits on a fall, give it a few hops, right? You can kind of yo-yo it once or twice before pulling it out and moving to your next target. And if punching through mats, sometimes the bass will be right under those mats. They won't actually be all the way to the bottom. So jig it back up to the top of the bottom of that mat and do a little jig and see if they're suspended a little bit higher. Now, this guy right here, this is a power move, right? Simply pitch, fall, move, repeat. And when those big girls hits, it's not subtle, right? It's a thump. And with that braid and that stiff rod, you can drive that hook home and winch that bass out of cover. A couple tips: you want to shorten your bait profile in those high pressure situations. And if you're getting caught up a lot and you got a lot of appendages, you can actually cut off those appendages. Honestly, this is my favorite technique when I'm targeting big fish on a bluebird day when they're just buried in the shade. The punch rig is just fun to fish, and I actually like it a whole lot better than frog fishing. I know that might sound crazy, but not many anglers are in the mats and in the lilies, so you can kind of get away. So when there's thousands of boats and kayakers and stand-up paddle boards all in the same open water hotspots, likely there won't be a whole lot of competition fishing heavy vegetation. Now, if you're looking for some topwater action that shines in August, well, I got the video for you. You can check that out right there. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.